G'day, everyone, and welcome to the DUC Migrating to Australia podcast. My name's Wes Zan, and today I'm joined by Rachel Dickson. So, Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much for making the time. So, Rachel, you're the partner of Tom, and Tom is the main applicant,
He is, yeah.
uh, and he's a vocational education teacher, which is
Yes.
which is good. Need lots of them in Australia. Would you like to? So, you've got three children.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce their names and their ages for the listeners, please?
Yeah. So they are Teddy, Poppy, and Halle. Teddy's 8, Poppy's 6, and Halle's 4.
Nice, nice. So, you guys are at EOI stage at the moment.
Yeah.
So, how's it been getting to EOI stage?
Do you know what? It's crazy because when we first joined, we spoke to the famous Jenny Baker, and she'd said it takes a really long time, and the skills assessment was like a huge part of it. And we'd seen people in the DUC group take like 6 months to sometimes 12 months to get to that point. But then I think that's, well, I don't know actually. I think that's more tradies because with Tom's being all education side, it was all on paper. And we were so lucky because I call him a hoarder. He had everything in like big boxes in the garage. Whereas if it was me doing the skills assessment, I'd have really struggled because I don't have any of my paperwork from uni. His goes back to like GCSE in high school. He had it all. So
Wow.
from joining with you guys, within like 3 months, we'd already got a positive skills assessment. So we like flew through the first part of it because you can speed it up, can't you? The skills assessment, you know, when you want the result.
Oh, for sure, for sure. By being a hoarder, then obviously that helps because it's got all the. I reckon lots of people are kicking themselves, going, "Geez, I wish I'd have kept this document and that document." But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
as life goes, you just don't think you're moving towards.
yeah. So then
So,
they said it was VetAssess who did the skills assessment, and they said I think it usually takes about 6 to 10 weeks to come back, but they said you can fast track it. That's what the word I was looking for. So we did fast track it, and then it was back within 10 days as positive. So we tried our best to get it in when the new allocations came. You know, in the new financial year in July. So we had our EOIs in by the well. I think our first EOI, because we've got 3 in. So our first one was July, and then I think the other ones were the end of September
oh,
because
very
we
good.
had to wait. Yeah. So not that we're being impatient now, but we're like ready. So
Yeah,
because
yeah.
some people get their invite within days, don't they? And then others have to wait like up to like 18 months, I think, or longer. I don't know what the longest one is.
It just varies on the time of the year, it varies on the occupation, everything like that as well. So, yeah, but just Rachel, where are you guys from in the UK?
We are in a little village called Hertford in Cheshire.
Oh, nice, nice. Is that where you guys, yourself and Tom, did you grow up in that area, or did you move to that area at some point?
Yeah, I grew up about 40 minutes away in Stockport near Manchester, and Tom grew up in Northampton, so like Midlands.
Yeah, nice, nice. So, how did he go with his English test? Do you remember the score that he got?
Yeah, he he got 90 across the board.
Oh, legend.
I know. Do you know what? He's one of those people where he just booked it in and then hadn't really done much about it, hadn't done any revision. But he was a bit he wouldn't like me to say arrogant, but he was like, well, I'm in education, so I don't think I'm going to struggle. And I said to him, but it's not, it's how well you speak English. It's about how to pass it. Because I'd seen loads of people looking at YouTube videos and saying you have to know how to pass it. So then the night before, I remember thinking, God, because he was looking at it all and he was like, oh yeah. And then I don't know if he started to panic, but I think the pressure built. And then the day after he did it, he got the results and he was so smug. And I was like, phew. Because I know to do it again, well, I wasn't doing it, thankfully. But you'd have to pay to do it again, wouldn't you? And I was thinking, oh, well, it's all coming out the pot and it's so unnecessary just because you haven't thought about it. But then, yeah, I
He
remember
got you
Jenny
good.
saying, yeah,
He got you good. He was like, I've got this covered. So where does he actually? So he's a vocational, well, vet teacher, as we call him in
yes,
Oz. Where does he teach at the moment?
So he's at Everton Football Club, but they have an education provider called Everton Free School. So he teaches on the college course there. So it's like
So,
his dream job, to be honest, because so it teaches sport development and coaching, but obviously it's a football club. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they're in the classroom, and then every Wednesday they have a football match. So he travels up and down the country for the away games.
wow. So who? So so who does he teach? Is it the players or is it the junior
So
people that are practicing?
yeah, it's like I feel like he'll kill me because I don't ever know if this is right. But students who want to play football professionally, but they have to have an education. So it's people who are on that course and who want to do football as a profession.
Wow. So
Yeah.
when he moves to Oz, is his background like? Is he sort of is he just teaching there? Or is he part of like? Is he, I don't know, like famous in any way? Like with the Everton Football Club, is he like
No, no, no.
like a coach or in a coach's role?
So he does coach as part of his role, but none of it's first team. Um,
Okay,
can you still hear me? Sorry, my screen went off then.
that's a hard gig to get though. To be the senior coach of Everton
Well,
Football Club.
exactly.
That's you'd have
So
some pretty good competition.
he's qualified as a UEFA B coach. So if you're going to coach the first team, you have to be UEFA A, and he hasn't done that qualification. I don't know if he wants to or if he will. But then he also coaches my son's football team. So he does do a lot of football coaching with kids.
Yeah, yeah, and is that Teddy's under nines? Is it?
It is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he loves it.
cool.
So he's,
And when he gets to Oz, is he going to stick with the same? Is he going to try and work with one of the we call them soccer over here, soccer clubs, like football
yeah,
clubs over here? Is that his
if
plan?
he can, I think, yeah, if he can, I think he definitely would. But he's kind of, I don't know, if this is one of the big questions about us moving, because I said to him, you are in your dream job right now. So obviously you might not get that over in Australia. And he said, well, it's just a sacrifice that you take to give the kids a better life. So that would
Yeah.
be his preference, absolutely. So yeah, he will definitely try to, but whether or not that works out, don't know.
And have you told the football club that you're your
Yeah, they
plans
do
to move
know.
to Oz?
Yeah, because as part of the skills assessment, we had to have references and stuff. So he has told them. He's been really honest.
Wow.
I think they're a bit gutted, but also they're a bit like, why not?
Yeah, yeah. We can migrate the Everton football. Like I'm not very good with the Premier League since I've left the UK, so he'll probably kill me too. But are Everton going all right this year, or that the year's finished now, isn't it? But did they go all right, or not too
Yeah,
good?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think they've done. Oh, I don't know. People are probably cringing at me because I don't know. I don't know. I'm not that into
Yeah.
football, so I don't know. I don't think they've been
Wow.
too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, look, I hope he can. With the experience over there, football we call it soccer. It's
Yeah.
just everywhere. It's really growing. It's a growing sport in Oz. You'll see lots of the guys in our group set up five-a-side teams, and yeah, I know quite a few teams that are just down under centre clients that just play
Yeah.
together, which is kind of nice because we assisted with that friendship,
Oh,
by
nice. Yeah.
putting the DUC club and other events we have on
Yeah.
to get there. So, all right, let's go back a step. So, how did it come about? Whose idea was it to move? He's coaching Everton. But before I do that, are you working at the moment? You full time mum? What do you do?
Yeah, I do part-time hours really. I'm self-employed, so I'm a pre and postnatal PT. So after having my three, I retrained and I used to teach group fitness classes where mums could bring their babies along to the class. And it was loads of fun. And then I did my PT qualification. So quite often with most of my clients, I will go to their house if they don't have childcare and can't get out to the gym. I will take equipment to their house and do sessions with them while the kids are in. Just because it's so hard to when you have young kids and your partner's out, and then by the time they get home from work, you just have lost all motivation and energy. So it's quite nice to get it done while they're out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And is this something you're going to try pursue once you're in Oz?
Yeah, I would love to. But I've said the same as Tom. Like if I have to work just to get us settled, I'll do anything. But that is That's the dream.
You guys, it must be challenging because what you're doing sounds really, fulfilled. Like, it's a job that probably gives you a bit of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Lots of, make you feel good about it. And obviously, Tom, to be part of like a Premier League side, that's pretty good. So it's a lot to give up. So
Yeah, I
how did
know.
the conversation start? Whose idea was it to make the move? Who planted the seed?
So I travelled the east coast of Australia about 14 years ago, and I said then, and obviously I didn't know Tom then, but I said I'd love to move to Australia. I just loved it. I didn't go to one place where I thought, oh, I'm not too keen. I just loved it. And obviously when I was in my 20s, and we just had a great time. And then,
Yep.
so Tom's never been to Australia, but he's always said from day one, I would move tomorrow. And one of his best friends was traveling and met a girl in Canada, and she's Aussie. So now they've settled and they've got 2 kids, and he now has citizenship. They live in Perth. And from speaking to him and obviously seeing their lifestyle and the life they have and the kids have, Tom's always said, I would go tomorrow. I don't get why we wouldn't, but I'm very close to my family and always have been. So it's always been well, we'd love to go, but you're close with your family. And then over the last 2 years, I don't know, I think although we have a lovely life, don't get me wrong, we do struggle sometimes with, like, the kids love being outside. And to be fair, they will whatever the weather, but the girls are not keen on the rain. So if it's raining, they won't really go out. They don't like going out on the bikes, or they don't want to go on walks when it's raining. And we've had a few. So because Tom's in teaching and I work part time, we didn't have any savings, didn't have much disposable income. So we would go on holidays in the summer holidays and go to a caravan in Wales, for example. We do that every year. My auntie's got a caravan and we would go there. And the last few years, although it's lovely, don't get me wrong, the weather has been awful. And it's just like, when you think, this is our holiday, and we can't afford to take all 5 of us on holiday abroad in the school holidays because it's just an absolute fortune. So we've said if we could like pick up our life, and we're not that naive to think that this will actually happen, but if we could pick up our life now and move it to Australia, it would just be perfect because you do get that aspect of the weather. You can travel an hour, 3 hours, 6 hours to go on your holidays, camping or wherever, and you still get the holiday. Whereas sometimes it doesn't feel like holiday here, even though you've been away for a week.
Yeah, I think it's got its challenges wherever you go, like financially and all that. Like it's good to
Yeah,
have a holiday. We've got holidays here at the moment. Yeah, when I coach the under nines and the footy here, like the AFL, and we've only had about half the team because they're all on holiday. But because I'm in
yeah.
Victoria, they're all up in Queensland.
Oh,
They go to
nice.
Queensland and northern New South Wales, the East Coast. There you
Yeah,
go. Yeah, and just get a bit of sun out there. But saying that, well, this is filmed on the 16th of the 4th, 2025. So we're in autumn, but we've had the last week's been high 20s to 30s in Melbourne.
yeah,
So that's beautiful weather at the
yeah.
moment.
So the kids
Cold.
are off for 2 weeks at the moment. They've had 1 week off. So last week, to be fair, was nice. It was sunny, but I don't think it went above 17.
Yeah.
And we're back to, it's been raining this morning. It's freezing. It's about 8 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to entertain them all the time when it's this weather, and they just get fed up.
Yeah, you'll get straight into the swing of it once you're here because it's just like I said, different challenges. It's trying to put a sunscreen on them, keep them out. We had
Yeah,
Jed had Sammy over today, Jax had Harvey over today, and believe it or not, the pool was only on 27 degrees, and I had it's too cold. It's too cold in the pool.
yeah,
They
I
went
can
in,
imagine.
but it's like 27 degrees. They actually like it when it's above 30.
Yeah,
The heated pool. But yeah, they just I don't know. It's just so wonderful. They're just outside the whole day shooting Nerf guns, and they actually found these. They went bug hunting and they found
nice.
some random bugs, which I feel for the bugs because I think some of the bugs didn't make it through the afternoon.
Yeah, my middle, so Poppy loves bugs. She loves spiders, which actually bodes well. She loves anything like that. She's always like crouching down and letting ants crawl on her and stuff. I think.
I love that. I love that. I hate ants. But anyway, so let's chat about the kids. So you've explained to the kids about Australia.
Yeah, we did. Do you know,
And
it's
how do
so
they feel?
funny because Jenny said originally, don't do anything too rash. Don't tell everyone you're going 'cause it takes a while. Don't sell your house. And we did sell the house. So we're now in a rental. And I'm a very open person. Obviously, I see a lot of people with my job. And I just can't help it because it's obviously what process we're doing at the moment. So there's a lot of people that know that we're going. So when we first told my parents, we didn't know whether to tell the kids or not.
Okay.
Because we don't know that it's actually happening yet. Obviously, that is our hope. But with not having the invite, it's not, well, until you get the grant, you don't know, do you?
I think once you get the invite, you're pretty safe, and then it's just then you've got that other waiting game to get the actual visa grant, and then from the visa
Yeah,
grant, then you've got to pick and choose the time that you're actually going to jump on the flight, and
yeah,
then the next stage happens, doesn't it? Like it never ends, Rachel. There's one you go from one bit to the next bit to the
yeah,
next bit, and
yeah.
then you're
But I
here,
think
and then you
we'll
get
feel,
used to it.
yeah, because we've sold the house, I think we'll feel a lot more settled once we get the invite. And I
Yeah.
know that's not a given. Like I said to Jenny, do people do this and not actually ever get the invite? She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it can happen. Like it depends on the states. Like I've
Yeah,
been doing quite a few. Spent a bit of time with South Australia government and and Queensland government. And I know Queensland's and South Australia are going pretty good at the moment.
yeah,
They're expecting big numbers, but Rachel, it was only 2 3 years ago they cut the actual numbers by 75% for skilled
yeah,
migrants.
I know.
Now that is massive, 75%. So they're only letting a quarter of the people in at present. Now, we've got a new election coming up at the moment. I'm not sure if you guys hear about that in the UK.
Yeah,
And, depending on who wins, will probably depend on migration. Migration's, I think, in any country is a big factor.
yeah,
And people like Aussies living in Australia. And I think
yeah,
and having Aussies, and it's one of the things we have, if you get into the debate, like the vet teaching and all that as well, you'll see that like some of the unions and some of the bigger people, they actually really want, Aussie jobs for Aussies, but
yeah.
then they can't sustain the workforce because we need it when they're talking about all this development. Well, then you need a town, you need
Developing.
a Cheshire built in the middle of Queensland. You need all the
Yeah,
people who can make it happen. But then they've got the issue of the housing shortage as well. And then you speak to Queensland government. We're like, well, if we get more tradies in, we can build more houses. And it's like, well, I've got them. Just invite my clients. Just focus on DUC clients,
yeah,
and we'll see what we can
yeah,
do. But with the kids, were they do they
yeah.
understand that you mentioned you're close with your side? Are you close with Tom's side as well?
Yeah, but they live a lot further away, so we don't see them as often.
Okay, so but the kids are more reliant then on your family to, be part of their life. So have you spoken to them about, that they like there'll be the benefit of the weather and the animals, and for Poppy, there's plenty of ants here. Just drop a
Yeah.
lolly, pop on the ground, and you'll have a million there. But yeah, how are they feeling about that part?
Yeah, Teddy, to be honest, Teddy burst into tears when we first told him. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, I don't want to leave my friends. And he said, I don't want to make new friends. And then we explained that when he goes to high school here, all of the different primary schools, and there's lots of different high schools, that his whole class that he's in now won't move into high school, which he
Yeah.
didn't actually realize. So once we told him that, he was a bit like, all right. And now he's really excited, and he keeps like we have parts of Australia on our weather app now, so he'll go on and he'll have a look at what the weather's like. And the girls are really excited, but they don't. I think they're still a bit young to understand, and they have no concept of time. So they just say when we move to Australia, but I don't think they grasp fully, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you mentioned that you've got the weather app. So what state of Australia you got your heart set on?
So we haven't really got our hearts set on one in particular. We would love to go to WA just because we have more connection and we know more people there than anywhere else. We do have some of my mum's family who are in Sydney, but Tom can only apply for the regional skilled, so that rules out Sydney. So we
Yep.
can only apply for the 491,
Yep.
which gets a lot of heat online and on the Facebook groups. People are quite negative about it, but for us, it's our only way in.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to talk about. I think on a 491, I think when immigration brought that visa out, it was like it's a 5-year visa. After 3 years, you can, so the idea with a 491 is don't clog up Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane cities. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll give you 15 extra points. There's certain occupations that are on certain lists where those options are only available. But then to move to the 191 visa, they had 3 years to immigration had 3 years to get their head around it, how they're going to do it. And then our clients were, lots of people went on the 491 because after the pandemic,
yeah,
that was all that was being offered. They
yeah,
stopped doing 190s for a while. So people had a choice. Do we go on a 491 or a 190? And because, Australia and all the crap that happened with the pandemic, it delayed people and people wanted to get out here quicker. So I think lots of clients went into that. And, there is factors on a 491 visa that aren't as good as a 190. And, the main two, Rachel, would probably be if you need to get childcare support, you're not
yeah,
eligible for that. So it stops people thinking that, oh, I'm going to go into this job, my partner's going to go into that, we'll just put the kids in childcare. And it's the
yeah,
same where from the UK, you get the support that you need and it's probably affordable and you can do it. Coming to Oz on the 491, that's a hassle. And then the other one too is property, and
yeah,
people have this, it's with migration listeners and Rachel, there is no right or wrong. It's how
no,
you go about it, and you've only got options. Like you've managed your expectations. Go, oh, I've only got a 491. Fine,
yeah.
this is where
Well,
I'm
I
going to
remember
go.
saying
It's
to
not
Jenny,
ideal.
yeah, I remember saying to Jenny, is that not a bit risky? Because it's classed as temporary, isn't it, with 3 kids? And she said, well, after 3, if, like, providing obviously you pay your taxes, you don't get in trouble with the police or anything, you would get PR. So you just swap, like you said, to the 191. We're really not. I think some of the states or have in the past waived the childcare fees, haven't they? Is that right?
Look, I'm not sure that it very much changes.
Yeah,
Okay, on some of it. So like the school fees and all that for temporary visa holders and 491s have been waived, and then sometimes, well, they always were, but then sometimes on a 482 some are. I think the states just do like random things. Like in WA, I know we're doing a podcast shortly with Vic. People that are retraining in WA for certain occupations are getting a grant up to $10,000. Employers can get a grant for the similar
yeah,
amount for sponsorship, and then other
yeah,
states aren't. But then you're thinking, gosh, why are the government giving these grants? Just invite, WA, get out there and start inviting people.
yeah,
It's not going to cost you anything because the migrants paying, like
yeah,
their application
well,
fees, their
yeah,
processing fees to immigration. So get that sorted. But going back to the housing side, that's another thing that people, you've got to pay an extra, I think it's 7% stamp duty and a little fee on top of that too.
yeah,
And then some people will be like, yeah, well, we bought because we realize that in 3 years that the house prices are going to go up. So the money
yeah,
that we're probably spent on stamp duty, we're probably going to get back with the investment, and then we're not
exactly.
spending, doing rent. So I think it varies.
Yeah, and to be honest, we are very open. We're not set in stone. We're not against renting. Obviously, we're in a rental now, and some of our friends think we're bonkers because we had a house. Um, but then you think, well, if you pay another year into your mortgage, you're probably not going to see that back anyway once you sell it.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
and at least now we've got the pot of money, we're ready to go. Worst that can happen if we don't end up getting an invite, then, and I don't know, I don't think we'll stop trying until Tom hits 45.
Oh, no, you got like invites will happen. You've got Jenny Baker on your side, so that's
I
the
know.
biggest win ever. Like, she's amazing. But I also think that when I'll speak to people that were in like sort of like, early 40s, and then for some reason they call up when they're 43, 44, nearly turning 45. Oh, look, we just really want to give it a go. And you're like, you've left it too late. You
Yeah,
know, it's like the lottery sometimes, depending on your occupation you're in, and you've got to be in it to win it.
yeah,
Now, where, we only charge our fees in stages. We want you to get the invite, more than anything.
yeah,
You know, we want you to be over in Oz. We like to get our clients in and out as quick as we can because we are a business at the end of the day.
mm,
But yeah, I think the 491, I think some people really, if it's tough, if you can look, he's done everything. He's done his skills assessment correctly. He's got the highest score he can get in his English. He's
yeah.
currently working in his occupation. He's ticking all the boxes to get an invite. So he can't do anything more than what he's doing.
Yeah.
So
And
I
also, when
think
you look at the skills shortages across all states, the vet teacher's occupation it's classed as a critical shortage, I think, across all states. So on paper, so he's got 90 points, and well, I know it's not like primary and secondary teaching, but it's still teaching. So on paper, you think hopefully we've got a good chance.
Yeah, you do. Like you do. And you've also got the power of the podcast now, Rachel.
I
We often
know.
laugh about this. There's been quite a few people. We've had people where we've sort of said, oh, well, like you want to do a podcast, fantastic, and we welcome anyone to join us in the podcast as well.
Yeah.
If you've got a story you want to tell or share. But we've had it set up, and then I'll be like, oh, so you've put in your EOI. Oh, no. We've had our visa. Sorry, we've had our invite now. Or I'm like, are you waiting for your visa to be granted? No, we've just had our visa granted. So it's like the power of the podcast works well. It's happened quite a few times. So that's good. So,
but I remember
so you
saying to Johnny, when we first had the initial conversation, I said, oh, I don't know if we're going to do it now. And this sounds awful to say out loud, but my granddad will be 98 this year. And he's absolutely amazing. He lives independently. He's really fit and healthy. He looks about 80.
Good on him.
But we'd sort of said, we'll wait, because if we go while he's still alive, it's a bit awful. You feel like you're saying goodbye forever.
Yep.
And I remember Jenny saying, Rachel, it can take years. So she said, I really think you should get the ball rolling. And then I was dreading telling him, because I thought, oh, it's going to be really sad. And he said, oh, good on you. He said, you need to live your life. And he said, the kids will love it. And he said, me and your nana nearly did it when it was the £10 poms. So our family, to be fair, have been really supportive. And they're quite excited. And my mum's got loads of cousins and family on her mum's side in Australia. So I think she's quite excited to do a little tour.
And are they in WA? Like, are they?
Some are, yeah, and then some are in Sydney.
Because you mentioned you had a bit of a network in WA. So is that like clients of the Down Under Centre that you've met, or is it friends that you grew up in school with, or who is that support network?
It's my mum's family, but then Tom's best friend lives there. So I mean, it's not really a network. It's just a few connections that we'd have where we wouldn't be totally alone.
Yeah, well, that's how you build a network, isn't it?
Yeah. We moved. Well, I know it wasn't far, but when we moved to where we live now, we didn't know anybody. We knew one friend actually, but yeah, now we know loads of people, and you do just build that. And we're both quite sociable people, so I don't think we're that worried about that side of it. And we know it's not going to be easy. There's always going to be challenges, and finding work. Hopefully, we can find work before we get there, but we're just very open to, we will just make it work.
What we speak about challenges. I love speaking about challenges, to be honest, because I think it's good, and I think anyone that makes the move to Australia, it's life changing.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's hard, but geez, it's worth it. I personally believe it's worth it. I've got lots of, I don't know, being the owner of the DUC for over a decade. We've migrated thousands of people, and you get the odd message, thank you, been here 6 years, where's up, blah, 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 we're loving it, do this, and it's great. It's really good. But what are the challenges that you've had so far about the process?
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say we've had any challenges in the process so far, just because Tom had all of his stuff for the skills assessment, which I know a lot of people struggle with. It's more, I don't know, I suppose the biggest challenge we've had is just sat waiting now for the EOI, for the invite, because you feel a bit in limbo.
Yep.
Because obviously we saw the house so that we've got the pot of money ready to go, and then if it doesn't happen, we'll just use the pot of money to buy another house. But it's just, I suppose, doing what Jenny said not to do and telling people, because you do get there. Have you not heard anything yet? Or I thought you were moving, because people think you can just buy a plane ticket and go.
They think it's easy. So we look at those challenges, and how do you stay so positive about it? You're upbeat. You sound like a happy person. So how do you get through the challenges?
Yeah, well, I think I always have been. I don't know. I just think I'm a big believer of everything will work out as it's meant to work out. And my dad always says, what's the worst that can happen? Even if you do get there and you don't like it, you can come back home. I don't know. I think some of it might come across as naive, but we're just very positive people in general, and think if we want something to happen, I really want the kids to learn and to know that if they want something, they can just go for it as well. We're trying to make them see it as an adventure. So the house
Yeah.
that we're renting is actually smaller than the one that we owned because we didn't want to spend a fortune in rent. And to be fair, Halle's probably struggled the most settling in because she's never moved before.
And that's your
Well,
4-year-old, the youngest one.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
she said for a couple of weeks, when are we going to our house? And we were like, no, this is our house now. And she couldn't really understand why we were here.
She's like, "It's a bad deal, mummy. Where's it? What did you think about that? That's not a smart move."
Yeah. So, but it was really cute the other day because Halle said something like, "I really miss everything about the old house," and I was like, "Oh God!" It felt like I'd been punched in the gut. And then Poppy, who's our middle, said, "Halle, but when we're in Australia, we'll have such a better life." And I was like, "Oh my God!" It made me fill up because
Wha
she's only 6, and like for her, obviously we say that's why we're going for them, for us all to have a better life and to be outside more. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cute.
Let's go back a bit there. So Poppy mentions that. What makes it a better life in your eyes as a family? And you've obviously spoken to Poppy about the opportunities, I guess, that Australia has for
Yeah,
children. I think I can only reflect on our journey a lot, and I'm one of the reasons that I wanted to move at that point. I had two kids, and I really want them to grow up in Oz. And I'm so grateful that we were
yeah,
able to do that back in 2021 because the boys are flourishing, and even my daughter Jasmine's just they're just so
well,
happy at the
yeah.
moment. They're always happy. But what in your mind, what's going to make Australia to
I
give you
think,
that sort of
yeah,
happiness?
living by the beach, although they're still so young, they are beach bums. They just love it. And we don't
Yeah,
go to the beach enough here. We probably go 2-3 times a year. And like I said before, sometimes it's raining, and when you go on the beach, it's so windy that you just get whipped by the sand. But when it's nice weather, especially Halle, she will like strip off and roll around. It's up her nose, it's in her eyelashes, the sand, and she does not care. They just love it.
yeah.
And you know when you look at them and think,
Wait till she starts building sand castles. Oh my
yeah,
God,
like
the amount of sand castles I've had to build over the last couple of years. I kid you not. I think I should be
yeah,
a bricklayer. You actually learn how to make them stay up actually a little bit too these days.
yeah,
You get moisture in the sand. You start getting tools and that.
yeah,
That's kind of fun for the dads actually and
yeah.
mums.
So then, even for me and Tom, I think like well, Tom takes running a bit more seriously than me, but I love to jog. But makes me sound like a bit of a princess. But I don't love running in the rain, and I don't love running when it's really windy, when you feel like you're running against it.
Yep.
And when we're on holiday and we have runs on the beach, I just think, gosh, you can feel the fresh air rather than
Yeah.
when you run in here in the village, you can just feel like you're breathing in all the car fumes, and you think, how good is this for me? But
We
then,
had a staff meeting the other day, and I've actually got quite a few people that work for us, are previous migrants
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Um, we always try and help people when they get here, where we can. But we had a meeting, and a couple of the people were just like, one of the best things that we do whenever you have a bad day at work, like lots of the clients can work from home, or in one of the clients, the team, our staff can work in offices
yeah,
or from home. And I was just listening to a few of them chat, and they were just like, "But do you know what I love most? When you're having a bad day, you just walk to the beach, and within 20 minutes, it's like it's not a problem
yeah,
anymore, and you get to reflect a little bit, and you calm down if there's an issue because we're in a pressure business, Rachel. Everyone's asking us
yeah,
questions. Everyone's, every single our client is important to us, and our team just take it so seriously that you emotionally get involved, and
yeah,
it's
I can
it's hard if
imagine.
it's a negative was like people waiting on visas and immigration changes and all that. It hurts you. It hurts your
Yeah,
feelings and that. But anyway, they were just saying like how different it is because you can just walk out, get some fresh air, and you incorporate things in your day, just like the morning walk to the beach with the kids.
yeah.
It's just
I'm
crazy.
convinced
I've still
it's
got
good
that
for the
family.
soul. Yeah. And I remember even when I was traveling and we were in Fiji and stayed in this hut and there was no electricity or anything. It was like basic. and I went to sleep hearing the sea. And I remember thinking, I need to live by the sea.
Yeah. If you know, you know,
Yeah.
isn't it? If you know, you know. If you've got
Yeah.
that
And
feeling,
obviously,
then
with being a
that's where it
PT and
is.
I train mums, we do like most days out of the week, I'll do a session in the morning before the school run. So I'm already up at 5:30. And I just
Yeah.
think, gosh, imagine that in Australia, doing
Oh,
it in
this
the
is good.
summertime. Yeah.
This is good.
So yeah, that is still very much the dream, which we hope will come a reality.
Perfect. So, Rachel, last question before we wind this podcast up. Any tips, advice, anything you'd like to add before we close the podcast up?
Probably say just try and stay with an open mind because,
Yeah.
like you said, there's so many changes that happen, and just hope for the best. Because I remember thinking before we put our EOIs in, and it was the new financial year. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what if they take Tom's job off the list? And there's so many what ifs. I think sometimes you can just get bogged down in it. I do feel like you go through stages where you think about it so much and you go down a bit of a rabbit hole, and then a few weeks will pass and you think, oh, actually, I haven't been researching as much, or like time passes. And one of my friend's dads actually said, um, you have to still live your life
Yeah.
because you can't just put it on hold while you're waiting for things to happen. Um, so yeah, I just think you have to stay positive, otherwise
Yeah,
it
you
just
do.
gets you down the
Like
business.
like today, we've had about probably because I get all the emails when people get visas. Grant, we pay about what have we got? 9. We've had 9 grants today. It just happened. So the DUC club will be a bit of a buzz today, I think.
Yeah,
With people just
it's
they're
lovely.
through,
It's lovely. Yeah,
and you read them, and it is that it gets that frustrating. Actually, like one of the persons, I think one of their posts today was, we started exactly a year ago.
I think I
Um,
saw that one actually this morning.
Yeah, yeah. So they got it. They signed up with a year ago, and now they've got their visa, and you think, "Geez, wow, crazy." So now I'm assuming that person's in education, like or healthcare, or they're a trade,
Yeah.
um, and it's happened. So, but I just want to thank you for your time, and all the best for your move and everything
Oh,
like
thank
that.
you.
You have great spirit about you, and I think that's whoever you're around and all that, Rachel, that will just come out. And I think it's a great quality to have. That's my little
Oh,
thought
thank
for you.
you.
But yeah, thank you so much for the time and everything like that. And next time we do a podcast together, I reckon you'll be in Oz. We
Hope
get to catch
so.
up.
Fingers
See how
crossed.
Teddy, Poppy, and Halle are going. Obviously, Tom as well.
No,
So, but thank you so much for your time, and
fingers crossed.
listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah, and listeners, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Keep safe.